first few years I was writing these songs, it was really, more just for fun. Like, look at me, I can write songs. And I would share them with my friends and my parents, and the rest of my family. And of course, they were very impressed with what I was doing. Um, and they encouraged me to do more, and so I did more. And eventually, of course, they started asking, so when are you going to release a CD? And I'm thinking to myself, release a CD? Are you kidding? That's not fun. Writing music is fun. Putting it together in a CD and editing and everything, oh, that's boring and tedious. So I said, no, I'm never going to do that. I'm never going to do that. And eventually, my family and friends won out. So in March of 2009, I decided that I would pick my best songs and just put them on a CD and release it, whatever that meant. I thought, of course, that in my naivety, that I could do this in, probably about 6 weeks. Yeah. Then I started listening to all of these songs that I had put together for fun and listening to them critically. And oh my gosh, there were so many things, not just that were wrong, but that were just so misguided. And I would listen to these arrangements and think to myself, what on earth possessed me to do it that way? Because, listening to something for pleasure and listening to it with a critical ear are two very different things. And especially, when you write a song, you may arrange it a certain way and be happy with it. But if you put it down, listen to it 6 months later or a year later or 2 years later, by then you've learned so much more about composing, you've learned so much more about arranging, and what you hear is very different then from what you heard back when you originally wrote the song. So I did a lot of that, listening with a more finely tuned ear, and I sat down and said, okay, if I'm going to release a CD, I want it to be a good CD, the kind of CD that people would actually be willing to pay money for. And that meant that I had to go back and revisit arrangements. Some of the arrangements I completely stripped down and rebuilt up from scratch. I redid Windsong 3 times. This fully orchestrated 9-minute long piece, I rearranged it 3 times before I found an arrangement that I was actually happy with. And so very quickly, 6 weeks turned into 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, 6 months, 7 months. It took me 7 months from the time I decided to release a CD until the time that I actually released it. When I wanted to be dreams me, and only then will I remember to sing and make each song I carry on. And everything I once believed was right, and everyone I dreamed she looked to me. Will I remember to breathe and make each breath I carry on. Everything I once delighted in, and everyone I wanted to be singing after the end. Will I remember to sing until each breath I carry on. And there was so much to do when you're releasing a CD. It's not just even getting the music together, putting it on the CD, getting an arrangement you like. It's figuring out what order the songs are going to go in. It's making sure the songs are properly mixed, not just within a song, but across all the songs, so all the songs sound not identical, but more or less the same. They're at the same volume. Nothing really sticks out. in one song more than another. The vocals aren't louder in, song 3 than they are in song 7, for example. And then mastering, of course. And even beyond the music, it's, what about album artwork? You can't just burn a silver CD and write on it with a black Sharpie and say, hey, here's my CD, thanks for playing. So, I had to come up with artwork. I had to think of a theme for the artwork. Oh my goodness. And then I had to find artwork. I have some talent as an artist, but I'm not that good. So I found pictures on the internet. I learned about royalty-free copyright art. That is an independent musician's friend. Find these things, you pay a flat fee for them, and you can use it as many times as you want. So I found some artwork that I really liked, royalty-free artwork, and then I had to put it together in a concept and come up with a title for it, figure out what font I wanted to use. So then the artwork was done, and the CD was done. I had a friend of mine who runs a professional studio, Jerry Adamo, did the final mix and the mastering for that, because there was just no time for me to learn how to master. Mastering is an art in and of itself that can take years and years and years. So I said, you know what, I'm just going to pay Jerry to do the mixing and the mastering for me, so I don't have to worry about that. I got the artwork all done, and then I had to find someone who would print the CD. So I had to look up about, how many copies do you need? What are the different types? What's the difference between duplication and replication? Short answer there is that duplication is cheaper. For replication, you actually need usually runs of 1,000 or more, and I was not going to print up 1,000 copies of my CD. So I found a local place where I could work with them to make sure that my artwork was in pristine form. And I used Abacab Studios in Westminster, and I would highly recommend them. They were very wonderful with me, especially since when I got the artwork done, I did not know the difference between color profiles, so I used RGB instead of CMYK. And apparently CMYK is the printing standard, and RGB is the display standard on monitors and TVs. So they very nicely worked with me to convert that over to the right color profile and then to adjust the contrast and the color settings so that everything printed out the way that I had seen it on my screen, or as close as possible.